Let's go and get rid of the Jags. I had to go on to a Jacksonville Jaguars London website because that's how much they're hiding their schedule this year. They don't even want people to buy tickets. You have to buy tickets in pounds this year if you want to go to a Jacksonville Jaguars team. So we're gonna go over, the Jacksonville Jaguars schedule and all of the wins that are there, and it's gonna start out with a tough matchup, and you'll be picking the Jags in this one. And at 1 o'clock Eastern time, they're going to be playing the Carolina Panthers on the road at Everbank Stadium or at home.
At Trevor Bank Stadium. I'm actually picking the Panthers to win this game. Panthers are one of those teams, whether or not they're a playoff team or not, I do think that they're beginning to form things together. Bryce Young showed some promise last year. I think they come out hot, be one of those teams that starts off hot and maybe cools off at the end of the season. But give me Carolina to beat the Jags in week 1.
And then they go on the road to another cat team, and they face off against the Cincinnati Bengals. So we have 2 cat fights to start the season.
We do. Unfortunately, if this was Cincinnati in October, November, December, this would be a very easy pick for me. But we have to bank into the fact that the Bengals do not wake up until my birthday, which is November, for those who don't know. I'm actually going to take them to beat the Bengals because it is week 2, and Bengals can never figure it out in September.
All right, so now we're 1-1, and the Jaguars suddenly find themselves at 500, and then they go back to Trevor Banks Stadium, and they play the Texans. And then previously you had the Texans winning that one. Any change of heart?
Oh, Texans will win. Texans should take care of business there because Jags are stinky.
All right, and then next game, week 4, they go to Levi's Stadium at 4:05 Eastern time.
And I'm going to rock with the 49ers. At this point, they are still intact. George Kittle is wrapped in duct tape, but that is okay. 49ers shall take care of business there.
And then the following week, we have Monday Night Football versus the Kansas City Chiefs in Trevor Banks Stadium. Speaking of shitty Monday Night Football matchups.
Week 5, we're going to hear a lot of now here's a guys in this broadcast, but that's okay. We're going to hear a lot of Patrick Mahomes approval with Mr. Chris Collinsworth, but got to pick the Chiefs to beat the Jags. I think that's pretty obvious.
Is he on Monday Night Football now?
I believe he is. Maybe I'm mixing it up.
And then the week after, also at home again in Trevor Banks Stadium, facing off against Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks, and they're currently sitting at 1-4.
They are at 1-4, which I think is appropriate. Again, this is a team that last year had all the makings of being a playoff team, and they disappointed. So I am not sold on the Jags. I do think that the Seahawks is a winnable game while we go through this. However, I still pick the Seahawks to win this game, and I think that they start to skid. And this is when we look at potentially some changes being made.
All right, so Duval is now at 1-5, starting to shit themselves, and then they go to Wembley Stadium to play the Rams and their fan.
Yes, they will be overseas, and you know what? This is where they belong, frankly. London Jaguars sounds a hell of a lot better than Jacksonville. And if there's one team that I'm not going to bet against overseas, it's the Jaguars because they practically live overseas. I'm going to pick them to beat the Rams. It's going to be bright and early, 6:30 a.m. on the West Coast, 9:30 East Coast. I don't even know what time it is over there. So I'm going to take them to beat the Rams.
And then in week 8, bye. Week 9.
They probably lose.
They typically lose the bye or tie sometimes if we're being generous. But, Trevor Lawrence doesn't have his hair product on the golf course. It's pretty much a loss for him. And then in week 9, they're going to Allegiant Stadium to face off against the Raiders in the City of Sin.
City of Sin, 5 o'clock game. My gut tells me the Raiders prevail. Raiders just have a lot of firepower on offense at this point with Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Geno Smith improving as quarterback. So I'm going to take the Raiders here. This is a game that they can win for sure, but I just believe in the Raiders more than the Jags.
Right. And then week 10, they go to NRG with a 2-6 record to face off against the Texans. Believe you had the Texans sweeping them this year?
Yes, I do. And I'm going to stay with that sentiment. I think it's as cheap as $50 for those who are near Houston. So that is exciting for those.
All right. And then the Jaguars are in the 2-7 club or 27 club. So will they make it through that record? I don't know. Probably not. They might die. And then at Everbank, they are hosting the Chargers, where we get to see Trevor and Justin Herbert go head to head in an all-star quarterback matchup.
See, I am a visionary, as some may say, and I know when history repeats itself. I think with the Chargers, this is a game the Chargers should win. However, 27-0. That's all I'm going to say. 27-0. The Jags are in the head of the Chargers now. Can Jim Harbaugh get that out of the brains of Chargers players who are still very much there? That is the question. But for now, I'm going to pick the Jags to win that game because they have to win some games, surely.
Yeah, I mean, for a franchise cursed like the Chargers, maybe it is better if you have a coach with dementia because he won't remember anything that happened before.
Yeah. So I will pick them beating the Chargers. But I don't think the Chargers will still be a solid team. So Chargers probably should win that game, but I digress.
So now they're at 3-7, and they go to State Farm Stadium to take on the Arizona Cardinals at 4:05.
So I think if the Chargers beat them, then they beat the Cardinals. But I think between the Cardinals and Chargers game, they're going to go 1-1. So if I pick them beating the Chargers, they will lose to the Cardinals, and if they lose to the Chargers, they beat the Cardinals. So in this situation, I will pick the Cardinals winning.
All right, so now they are 3-8 going to the Titans.
And I believe in your schedule, you picked them beating the Jaguars, so I'll stay with that same sentiment.
All right, so now they are 3-9 going back to Trevor Banks Stadium to face the Colts.
And they always split with the Colts. And I forget whether it is in Indianapolis or in Jacksonville that they struggle with the Colts, but I know they have a heinous record over the last 15 years. I believe it is in Jacksonville that is the case. So I will pick the Colts to win this one, and then the next game they will lose to the Jags.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite because the game they fell apart was like the Carson Wentz game in Jacksonville when they were horrible.
Okay. So I'm going to pick the Colts to win this game then, and they will beat them the other way. Yes. History repeats itself.
So Jags win, and then they go 4-9. And then
all right.
The week after that, on a 2-game homestand, they end up facing the Jets. Jesus is here.
And that's a win.
Bible study has come to town. It's a win. We're 5-9.
Will they make the playoffs? Will they not? And this is right around the time when they start teasing for a playoff spot. This is perfect Jags history here, so I picked them beating the Jets.
All right. And then they go to Walmart Stadium and face the Broncos.
I think the Broncos are going to be good. This is going to be a 4:00 slate. I'm going to pick the Broncos to beat them. Surely they should.
All right. And then so you have them splitting with the Colts, so they won last time. And then they're going to Lucas Oil. Do you think have any change of heart, or do you think they still split?
I think they still split in this case. Actually, it really depends on the quarterback for the Colts, but I'll pick them splitting for the sake of it because they usually do.
And then they are 5-11 going to the Titans.
Doesn't matter at this point. Y'all are 5-11. Doesn't care whether you're 6-11 or 5-12. I believe you picked the Titans to win this, so I will pick the Titans to win this as well. 5-12, 6-11. I just that's what I see. You have a coach that I'm not sold on. Trevor Lawrence has stats more similar to Daniel Jones than the prince that promised was supposed to be. So don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. Don't believe in the head coach. Their defense is extremely below average. And really, like Travis Hunter, we'll see what Travis Hunter is. I think he'll be good as a wide receiver, but Jags, I just don't see it. I don't believe in them, and I think that they will ultimately finish last, most likely.
Yeah, so now we have the